Hello. Forgive me for a little shaking while I get my camera set up. Okay. I have 22% power, so let's see how far I can get on my project. Uh-oh. One moment. Well, I think my screen rotation is stuck. It's okay. I'm working on a project for March. I wanted something to remember the month by, and March's birthstone is aquamarine, so it'd be kind of cool just to jump in and give you and me some time to bead together. I keep all my scraps together. Sometimes it absorbs me more than the project itself, which is tidying up the little pieces and getting my gold scraps and my silver scraps separate. And I've been collecting these scraps for 20, almost 30 years. And you'd think by now I would do something with them, but I don't. I just have a jar full of sterling silver and gold scraps. Maybe I'll melt it. I have a project. I want to take my torch and I dream of melting it all down and making a super amazing charm. So that is like a one of these days kinds of things. So let's see. I've not gone live in so long. I'm like, I almost forget what I have to do. What I have to do is just talk to myself. When I work with water element colors like aqua, I tend to move more towards sterling silver. How about you guys? Do you work in like the silvery colors? But and change it up and see how I like it with some gold today. First thing I'm going to do is test all my bead holes to see that it all fits. This is 24 gauge wire. And you know the crazy part is even if it fits in one bead, does not mean it's going to fit in all. So I'll move out the ones that don't fit. Now if you're lucky, you have more than the amount of beads you're planning to work with. So like I have 3 of each of these. I do have a little container of more, so I can switch it out before I get started. I'm just going to do a simple basic wire wrap and these 3 don't fit. That's just a little prep work before you go to town. One option is I can drill them. Or just switch it out. Oh my gosh, it's 11 o'clock. I just said, I've been trying to go to bed earlier, which is probably why I haven't done one of these in months. Just recently I realized that beading helps me relax and sets my mind at ease and kind of clears out a lot of the junk. So at the very least, even if I don't finish a project, I'm gonna start one. Okay. So I did a really simple pattern of A, B, C, D, E. It goes A, B, C. I think there might be too many beads. There's going to be 15. No, I think it'll be perfect. D, E. So 5 different beads with 3 of each kind. A, B, C, D, and E. When you're doing a layout, one of the things to consider is where you're going to put your clasp. Because, like, if you look at my pattern, this is the biggest bead and this is the littlest bead. So if you're going to use a lobster and you want to grab onto the lobster, best you put it on the side with the smallest bead. Okay. Then if you're looking at it, doing it in chunks of color of 3 sets like this, you can look at your sets and decide how does that look all together. You can string it before you start wrapping. So I have some London blue topaz, some blue topaz, aquamarine, and topaz. Put those 4 here. I do like it. I like the way that it looks. Just for fun, it's always a good exercise to move things around so you can keep the original pattern there and see what it would be like, because you see these 2 are like very similar in color and size. So what if I split those up with the 2 darker ones? So let me try that. That looks completely different. And it doesn't make me feel happy, so I think I'm going to go back. So one of the ways that I design is just use your gut feeling and see how that makes it feel when you're looking at it. And if it doesn't make you feel good, don't do it. Okay, I'm going to make this one. Ooh, this is such a hard call. I'm going to do it in gold. A couple of reasons why. If I use silver wire, this is a very, very practical reason. If I use silver wire and the wire starts to antique, these are really light colored beads, and I won't be able to clean the wire because I don't want to dip it. I don't want to put my, I could if it's really fast, because topaz is a hard stone, but I don't want to dip it, so I'm just going to use gold wire. And I'm going to do teeny tiny wire wraps. So let me show you how to do that. It is a good practice to mark your pliers so that your loops are always the same if you want that consistency. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot. I have to pay some bills, so I can't stay too long tonight. In addition to my phone not having a lot of battery life. So I have my loop. I should attach a clasp on. Give me 1 second to grab one. Most of the time, I like to use lobster clasps on a bracelet. I rarely use hook and eye on bracelets. I use those mostly on necklaces. Let me find a clasp. I have a teeny tiny one. So use that. And then just check that you can open and close it easy. There you go. So the last thing you want to do is put one that's fidgety or that does not open and close. And then you have to cut it apart later. So always test your clasps before you put them on to the loop. Hold that at an angle and wrap it. I left my teeny Lindstroms at the store, so I'm going to use these little bit larger ones. Where is this from? Okay, I'll just put that there. So I'm going to start with a tiny bend it. It's funny. I notice I make this weird breathing noise when I'm wire wrapping, like it's strenuous. I'll make this noise like, ah. But honestly, it's not strenuous. It's just very tiny movements. And I wish I had my teeny tiny cutter so I can get into that space. But, you know, you just make do. I'm trying to commit to beading for 10 minutes every day for my creative spirit. I think I'm going to, you can put in little spacers in between, so if you don't have enough of a certain gemstone or enough to do a pattern, you can use a gold spacer bead. Go around. So my YouTube screen says that I'm beading alone. Oh, isn't that funny? Just as I say that, I see someone pop in to bead with me. Ooh, that is going to be so cute. Good evening. So it's a little cold in Hawaii tonight. My friend just gifted me with this down vest from Uniqlo in Japan. She went on a trip. So I'm wearing that right now. I think it's, and I'm getting a little hot. I'm like, oh my God, I think I need to turn on some fan, some air. Or take off the vest. That probably would be a better idea. But I can't stop beading because now I'm on a roll. So I'm about to just tuck this end in. And you want to tuck in all your ends. You can do it at the very end of your bracelet. You can do it as you go along if that gives you more pleasure. Wherever there's like an end that you cut, you just want to make sure you give it a little tap down. It doesn't get caught on your clothes. So this is a momentous evening for me because I have a little bit of a hoarding problem with my beads and my gems. And I tend not to use them. Like, I don't know what I'm saving them for. So a lot of the pieces in my layout today, I've been collecting for over 25 years. And I was like, I need to break that mindset of keeping and saving. I don't know if you guys remember that poem about a lady who passes away, and I think it's a poem, her husband finds all her things, and it was basically things that she kept saving for a special occasion to wear it or a special time. And in the end, she didn't wear any of it. And I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, as intended, it was written to make us all understand that there's saving and then there's not enjoying what we have. So tonight, before I turn on my computer and do a little bit of work, I was like, okay, I'm not going to save. I'm going to use my favorite beads. And I really, really hope this inspires you to pull out your beads and make something super special for yourself or as a gift. Okay, now here comes a little math. Let me get my ruler. I'm going to measure how long these beads made because I'm trying to do a bracelet and there's 5 beads, right? And I want like a 7-inch bracelet. So let's see. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, it's so slippery. I got 2 3/4. 2, 4, 6. So it might be a little long because it's almost 3 inches. So that's almost 9 inches. So knowing this, I'm going to have to probably not use all these beads. And just that's something to keep in mind as you're making this project so that you don't end up having to cut off your work, which is like a time and material waste, right? So keep in mind whatever it is you're making, the length that you're setting out to do, and be conscious. So if you're, okay, so let me bring something up. So if you're doing something like this and it's a 10 bead pattern and you don't want to repeat it, but you're like, well, how am I going to make that extra length? Because it's going to be shy of 6 inches. You can add in another bead. You know, this, you don't have to use that one, but that's just an example of where you can gain the extra 1.5 inches by using it. Sort of like a period at the end of a sentence, right here and right here. Let me use something that'd be more appropriate in size though, just so you get a better idea. A little bit tinier, like that. And then you can skip using that one whole last portion. If you don't want to do that, you could wire wrap a ring. So if you had like a fancy twisted wire ring, you could wrap that and that in there. It would have been nice I mean, it's not too late. You can cut this last link off. And if you want to rewrap it with a link there as well, you can do that. So just some tips on design. As you're making it, it's good to think what is three steps ahead. So when you get there, you're prepared in your design of, the pitfalls of length, of weight. Is it too heavy? Is it going to keep turning round and round and the beads not show? And so I know right now that it's not going to use all of these. I don't know if you saw what I was doing. I'm going to put this one to the side and I'm going to use this one instead. In case you're wondering why I did that, it's because this bead is slightly bigger and I would like that at the end of my bracelet so that it weighs it down and keeps the clasp and the ring at the bottom of my bracelet. So I was like, well, let me take the smaller one and put that in the middle. The science of jewelry making. Ooh, this is cute. I think I'm going to just keep going and try to finish it. Then when I wake up, I can wear it. Today was such a nice day, Sunday in Hawaii. We had lovely customers come to the store and hang out. We had one customer who really likes ducks. So cute. Her dad was saying that she takes them and hides them around campus for people to find little duck beads. So you come to the store, you'll find one of hers hidden in the store. She left one today. So I have some blue topaz and aquamarine in my piece today. Oh, that's so nice. I'm getting excited to wear this one. Oh, I think I'm going to make matching earrings. Maybe just the same pattern. Wrap that down. My friend just sent me a picture of some Tahitian pearl earrings with tanzanite. Now that's a combination I've never done before. So I was like, that's inspiring. Maybe I'll try that. So whenever you work with wire, one last tip. Try to work with the longest length you can without it poking you. The reason for that is you minimize how much waste you have at the end of your wire. This is beautiful. I think I'm going to make an extra one to sell on the website. Because I'm like, wow, look at that. Okay, it's almost time to try it on. So we're almost at 6 inches, so I think we need 2 more beads after this. So if you're like not sure how big to make something, let's say you're making it as a gift, you can always make it a little bit longer than you need. But what I do suggest is you can make these wire wraps a little bit bigger as well. Because if you make the wraps larger and the bracelet's too long, you can take the end and then you can hook it into one of the other loops. But the loop has to be bigger in order for the recipient to hook it into. Since this is mine, I know I'm going to make it exactly the length that I like. You can always wrap an extra bead, or you can just cut off the couple links if it's too long. Lots of options. You can also take a little piece of chain and wrap that at the end, and then the end, that chain will be the extender chain that you can choose which link you want to hook into. So multiple ways of addressing making it interchangeable in size. My black Sharpie pen mark is almost faded off, which is perfect. It's almost like invisible ink. It's just disappearing as I don't need it any longer. Not bad. A nice investment of 30 minutes into my spiritual health, my mental health. I feel super calm now, which is nice. You know, that if you have a day that's just like a little bit wild action and you just need something and you don't have a glass of wine, you want something that's a little bit easier on your body. Sometimes it's a little hard for me to meditate. I'm just wound up, and sitting still actually makes me feel more crazy. It's perfect. Now I just need a little ring for the other side. Now you have 2 options. If you don't want to put a ring at the end, you can go ahead and just make a larger wire wrap loop. That always works. I'm going to put a ring so that I can hang a charm on it later. Uh-oh. I think my ring is too thick. It's for a different project. Okay. Let's see if I have a ring. Split. So that's another thing to look out for. I noticed in the last 10 years that the clasps are not made the same way. Well, not every clasp is made the same way anyhow. So if the mouth here is a little bit tiny, you have to use a tiny ring. That's too hard to get on. If it's even the slightest bit of a struggle, don't do it. Because I noticed that wearing jewelry, if you don't have someone to help you put it on and take it off, and those are the pieces that we kind of tend to avoid wearing. God, there's nothing worse than feeling trapped in your own jewelry when you get home and you're like, I want to get out of this, and you can't. Y'all know what I mean. Oh, okay, that's not gonna work. Oops. Alrighty, so I think I'm gonna have to just make a wire wrap. Let's test this wire. Okay, perfect. Oh wait, maybe I can put a teeny bit of chain. Hold on. So I'm wrapping with 24 gauge wire, which means that I can clasp into a 24 gauge inch chain. This clasp is too tiny. Maybe I should just change the clasp to something a little larger. Okay, that's perfect. Phew. So now it is an extendable bracelet. So I'm gonna add 1 inch of chain. So this is a long and short chain. So there's a long link and then 3 short, a long link and 3 short. So whenever you cut this chain, try to cut the middle one in the set of 3. Okay, so when there's 3, cut the middle one of the 3. If there's 5, cut the middle one of the 5. It's a good habit because 1, you don't waste the longest links of your chain. And 2, most chains tend to use an odd number of links, like 3, 5, in between. So if you cut the middle one, it will leave it a chance to be even on both sides. Okay. I'm going to tuck all my ends in, and my evening Sunday night project is done. Thank you very much for watching. If there's any questions or if you have any tips that you want me to cover in a future video, comment. Ooh, here's something important. Get all your wire wraps aligned. So turn them if you have to, so that both of the loops are on the same plane. And again, tuck in all your ends. One thing to be careful of is if you wrap really tight and you put a lot of wraps in there, when you're pushing this little end down, it can put too much pressure on the bead and it can crack. Not so much on pearls, but I noticed like some of the Swarovski crystals on the edges, it can happen. On your more sensitive, fragile beads, I've cracked. So when you're wrapping, you don't have to wrap really, really, really tight till you get to the bead if you know you have to tuck your ends in, okay? That's just something to be aware of. And of course, once you do it once, there is a tendency to be more aware of not doing it again. Okay. Thank you for joining me. If you watch this in one of the lives on Facebook, Instagram, I will be wearing this bracelet this week. Thank you. Good night.